Hey everyone, I'm Jay.
And I'm Sean.
And we watched WandaVision.
Yeah, we did.
That's what we do on Fridays. That's when the episodes come out. And that's when we
would watch
review
them sooner if we could. That's true.
Probably we would, yeah. We were up until 3 a.m. last night to watch it the moment it came out.
Yes, we were. And we did.
Woo. Whew.
Episode 6.
Episode 6. All New Halloween Spooktacular. Woo. Okay, so let's dive right in, guys, because this was quite an episode. 6 of 9. So we are definitely coasting downhill now.
We are.
Things are snowballing. Only 3 left.
Only 3 left.
So have you figured it all out?
No, absolutely not.
Oh boy. Okay, so let's unpack this episode and see what clues we have. So it is the Halloween episode. We seem to have skipped from the 80s and Family Ties last week directly to the 2000s. We missed the 90s. We missed the possible ultra meta reference of Full House, which we were super hoping for.
We really were. That is a shame.
Yes, and we have skipped right to Malcolm in the Middle, which started airing in 2000.
Okay.
Now, I mean, I didn't watch any of the black and white shows they were referencing either, and yet I appreciated those references a lot more. I have no emotional attachment to Malcolm in the Middle. I've never seen a single episode.
Nope.
Even though it seems like it aired for quite a long time.
Yeah.
And quite a few people must have watched it.
I assume so, yeah. I feel like I heard people talking about it, but I was never interested in it, and I never watched it.
Yeah. Well, that was not a sitcom-y time in our lives.
That's
true. You watch it with your family when you're young, and then when you're old and you have nothing else on your calendar because your bones hurt and you're just tired all the time and you just want to relax on the couch. That was the time in our lives when we actually went out and did things. Didn't watch as much television.
True.
So we didn't get this one.
No.
I guessed what it was pretending to be.
You did well.
Surprisingly, having never seen an episode.
Well, there you go. You're a natural.
Thank you. What a talent. What a compliment. They do definitely start breaking that fourth wall, talking directly to us at home. I guess fitting that Wanda's kids are having a bigger and bigger role. They are the wacky brothers that I guess Malcolm in the Middle needs to have.
Yep.
To be in the middle.
Yeah.
You need some brothers.
There is, well, maybe Quicksilver.
Uncle Petey.
Uncle Petey. He's back.
He's back and he's better than ever.
I'm not sure about that.
We'll get into it. We will talk about that in just a moment. So yes, this is the very special holiday special. Halloween has come to Westview, New Jersey.
And what better time to make them dress up in their comic book costumes.
Oh, you wanted it, and they paid that fan service today.
They did, absolutely.
Something that I didn't get. Sean had to explain to me why this was funny. Because of course, Wanda comes down the stairs. She is wearing a red sort of spandexy thing, pink tights, opera gloves for some reason.
Yeah.
She explains it as a Sokovian fortune teller, and I was ready to believe her.
You were, yeah. Well, it may be. That may be the inspiration.
And yet, Sean tells me this is just how she looked like in the comics, which is a pretty terrible costume.
It is. It really is.
I have to say. I was going to say perhaps the worst costume until I saw Vision come down the stairs wearing his the color story on this guy. Thank goodness they changed it.
Yeah, they had to.
It's so horrible.
Did not translate to the screen.
I do like that. No, it did not. I do like that they made these costumes look very homemade, very like dime store chic, rubber like scrubbing the dishes gloves.
Yes, they did a good job.
Yes, and yet still very recognizable, I think.
Definitely.
So he comes down, he calls his getup a luchador, Mexican wrestler-esque. I don't know. I think even Mexican wrestlers have have more fashion sense than whoever put together this getup. And pretty soon, even Pietro comes over in his costume.
His original getup with the lightning bolt and the horns in his hair.
The crazy hair.
Yeah.
I felt like it was Wolverine hair, but that's because
similar.
I don't know him.
Yeah, it is similar, absolutely.
Anything.
Yeah.
I don't know why this haircut.
It's just his pointy hair.
The superhero barber has like only a couple tricks up his
True,
sleeve.
yeah.
Anyways, so we've got these wonderful costumes. The kids are also wearing their costumes. And in fact, there are kids now in Westview.
A lot of kids, yeah.
We don't know exactly where we were. Pietro suggests perhaps Wanda, about to be more ethically conscientious about this whole experiment, keeps them asleep in their beds through most of this and wakes them up just for a special guest appearance where it's going to be fun and kid-centric. But certainly Westview is overrun by children in this episode. Lots of, I thought, disappointingly generic costumes.
Absolutely.
There was ripe, I mean, by the 2000s, we were licensing the heck out of everything.
Yeah, there should have been a lot more Ninja Turtles.
When we were kids, things were a little more generic,
they were much
maybe.
bleaker, yeah.
Witches and clowns and hobos.
It's true.
Why was hobo one? I don't know, but everyone was a hobo at some point, probably.
With a bindle, yeah.
So it's disappointing that that's what the kids are dressed up as.
Yeah, it is.
And also, like, if they're living in the MCU, there should be lots of Iron Mans walking around, you know? You know what I'm saying?
Captain America's. Yeah.
Anyways, I guess they didn't want to confuse things too much, so they kept it really simple.
Well, it may also be that Wanda is not allowing them to remember the superheroes.
Maybe. But they haven't entirely forgotten.
No, it's deep down.
Yes. So Wanda comes down in her costume at home. I really liked what her son says, "What are you, old Red Riding Hood?" That was like, I could have stopped watching there. That was a great line. She took it pretty well. I don't know, maybe she cried herself to sleep that night. I feel like it's possible. And then we get this sense from Vision that he is really starting to crack. Because he comes down and he's wearing the getup and she compliments him on it. And he's like, well, it's not like I had a choice. This was the only thing in my closet. So he is really starting to push back to her, which is surprising, you know. But he is confused by what's going on. He's a little scared by what's going on. And so he is testing the boundaries of this. But immediately she has a bad reaction, and so he's all sunshine again and like, oh no problem, smooths things over. But we find out that he is not going trick-or-treating with the family, even though that was the plan and she wants him to. He's gonna join the neighborhood watch, except for that's just a cover. He's not joining the neighborhood watch. He's going out on his own secret mission to further test the boundaries of the hex.
He's getting out.
Yeah, well, I don't even know if that's what he set out to do, but that's where he's led, because the further out from the town core where Wanda is, the townspeople are struggling. They are not as animated. I don't know if her power only goes so far or if she only cares about the people in her immediate vicinity. But the further out the townspeople are, the less they're doing. Some of them are looking basically frozen. Some of them are caught in little loops.
Yep. They're not doing great.
No, we see one woman who's trying to hang something, and she's got a big smile on her face, but a tear is escaping down her cheek. So
they're breaking.
They are. Like they're not entirely being kept, their real personality is not entirely being kept away from them now. So
not super humane.
It is not super humane. And so we are definitely seeing like Wanda's not caring as much to use her powers in front of people or to show that she's in charge. And we do see that throughout the episode too, because more of the characters are referencing it. She meets the neighborhood watch Frankenstein's monster, asks her like, is there something you want to change? So clearly more and more people are aware that Wanda is the boss here. So while Wanda and Uncle Petey are taking the little kids, Billy and Tommy, out trick-or-treating, Vision is out checking stuff out, and he comes across Agnes, who is also stuck at the very edge, the very perimeter of this bubble, the hex. She's sitting in her car. And so he comes up to her, and I don't know if it was last episode, but we learned that Vision can take people out of the mind control.
Yes, it was.
And he does that to her. And right away, she's like, recognizes him, because obviously he's a celebrity. He's Vision. He's an Avenger. Are you here to help us? And he's like, well, I am Vision, and I do want to help, but what the heck is an Avenger?
He doesn't know.
He doesn't know.
He also doesn't know that he's dead.
No, he doesn't.
But Agnes has to tell him.
Yes. Well, she, again, the real Agnes that he takes out of mind control, so the real villager, it's a smart enough guess to worry, am I dead? Because I know you're dead, so if I'm here with you, is that what this means? But he doesn't know he's dead. He handles that pretty well. People are handling revelations very well in this.
They are. In
this episode. So, I think with that sort of revelation, those two revelations back to back, he decides he's going to breach the perimeter. Oh boy. Meanwhile, outside, where all the sword people are, in their little base camp, Director Hayward is really cementing his status as a big dickwad.
He is. He's fully there.
Mm-hmm. So our, the big three, Darcy, Jimmy Woo, and Monica Rambeau, they are the voice of dissent, I guess.
The voice of reason, you might say.
You might say that. They're still pissed from last episode when he tried to kill Wanda. And they're like, you don't even know what happens to the rest of all of those people if you take her out. Like, that's very dangerous. But he is clearly harboring resentment against the superheroes. I think perhaps the people who did not get blipped felt very let down or abandoned or neglected by the superheroes during those 5 years when they seem to have perhaps blamed the superheroes, the Avengers, for what happened.
For failing, yeah.
And for not getting things back on track. For 5 long years, they waited. So he is definitely harboring resentment. So he does not trust Monica Rambeau, who he knows has a personal relationship with Captain Marvel. And he basically has those three tossed out. He thinks they're biased, and he doesn't want them around. Of course, he's showing his own bias in doing that. And then Monica Rambeau and Jimmy Woo somehow are able to take on the henchmen and steal their ponchos.
Well, they're the heroes.
Yes, they are. I just didn't know they were the punchy kind of heroes.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
they're all the punchy
I would believe it more of Monica Rambeau than I would of Jimmy Woo. Yes, but good for him. Yeah. They didn't tell Darcy the plan, though. No. She was a little miffed to be left out. They decided she was the least punchy of all. Was that true? I don't know. Anyways, so they get removed, but they stick around. And it turns out that Darcy, who is already a astrophysicist, is also a super hacker.
They always are. Anyone who's smart knows how to hack into the mainframe.
Yes. And this is S.W.O.R.D. They should be pretty secure, but it takes her 2 seconds to get in.
That's right. Well, she went to the server room. That's important.
Okay.
That always helps you.
That always helps you. Good to know. Thank you, dear. So she gets in there and discovers a few things that Director Hayward has been keeping to himself. Number one, he's tracking Vision. They thought he might be tracking Wanda. No, he's tracking Vision. And why is that?
Why is that?
So he can also sort of keep tabs on the villagers, the people within the system. They can tell, anyways, that some of them aren't really moving around much. So they have an idea of their well-being, which is to say they are not being well. And perhaps, and this seemed very momentous in the episode, but we got very little detail about it, but she found a secret document labeled Cataract. Now I looked this up. I can't find anything in the comic books about Cataract. In today's episode, there was a sort of sub-label on it, classified weapons intel. So we don't know what Cataract is. She sent that to Jimmy Woo though, so
we're gonna find out.
It's gonna come up. But I think it is probably important to remember that a cataract does distort your vision. So, and the fact that it's a weapons intel probably gives us some indication as to what they were doing with Vision before Wanda stole his corpse and why they want him back.
Good call. I like that.
So, that's going on the outside. Meanwhile, in the inside, we've been introduced to two new superheroes in the MCU. So both Wanda's little boys, Tommy and Billy, have powers all of a sudden in this episode. I don't know if it's all of a sudden, but we're seeing them really.
They discovered them in this episode.
Yes. So we've got Billy, who I guess is known as Wiccan in the comics.
So he's like a mini Wanda.
Yes. And in this episode, we particularly see him discover his powers of telepathy, because he can sense that his father is breaching the perimeter and is having some difficulty.
Well. Yep.
And little Tommy, of course, is basically a Pietro mini-me.
He is. He's speed.
He is speed. He has speed. That's his power.
Yeah.
Or at least the extent of what we see him discover in this episode.
Yeah.
So yes, Billy is going to save his dad. Tommy is just going to get a lot of chocolate. They're using their powers for different reasons. But yeah, two new superheroes. So I take it these are young Avengers.
That's right.
Eventually.
Yep.
They're still pretty young now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I just thought, okay, this is just happening.
Yes, it is.
But now Wanda is outnumbered.
That's right.
Is she still the most powerful if she's got Vision, Pietro, the two kids? There's a lot of superheroes in there now.
There are. Mm-hmm. So they might be able to help her let go by punching her.
Right.
Super fast.
I know you're hoping to see that. Meanwhile, there's kind of a weird dynamic going between Wanda and her brother Pietro.
There definitely is.
I still don't know what to make of Pietro.
No, he doesn't make sense.
No. A lot of what he says makes him sound like he is not some otherworld Pietro, that he is this Pietro.
He knows a lot of stuff. He
basically says that the last thing he remembers is getting shot like a chump in the street in Age of Ultron.
Yep.
And then he heard her crying for help and he came.
Yep.
That's what he says. So that makes him sound like he is Wanda's Pietro. But he does not look like Wanda's Pietro.
And also, Wanda's Pietro, we know, is dead.
Yes.
And this is not the dead guy.
It doesn't look like him. It doesn't sound like him.
No.
And yeah, there's some...
He also has a very high awareness of what's going on.
He really does. He knows about the sitcom sort of structure. He knows about Wanda. He's like, I'm here to help you with your grief, but I'm doing it as the brother-in-law who's going to stir up trouble. And so he does understand, and understands, that ethically that she has done these things to keep the kids somewhat safe. And so he does have an understanding of all of those things. But unlike Vision can't remember that he is an Avenger or anything else. But Pietro seems to have a lot of memories.
He has memories he shouldn't have.
Of their childhood that she doesn't even have. Yeah. And he retains his powers.
That's right.
Within here. If she were the one reanimating him, then she would also be deciding, what he has, what he manifests. But she does not always seem happy. He even made a comment about her dead husband that sent him flying into the hay maze.
Yeah.
So...
That's right. So it does, I mean, she said in the previous episode that she wasn't doing this.
No.
When he came to knock on or ring the doorbell. It does seem like someone else has sent Pietro in.
And she is suspicious because he knows that she's kind of testing him or, grilling him to see what he knows about their life together. But he's got a lot of answers.
Yes, he does.
Although he's evasive. When she asks, well, where's your accent? He says, where's yours?
Which are both good
fair.
questions. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So one thing I really had a hard time with in this episode was the Agnes scene with Vision. Because, we've all gone in here believing that Agnes is Agatha.
Harkness.
Thank you. The witch. But when
she's dressed
Vision,
as a witch.
She is. And if everybody else was wearing their comic book costumes, that seems like a pretty good signifier.
Yep.
But when Vision pulls her out of the trance, she seems like an innocent victim.
She does.
Who is panicked and wants help.
That's right.
But other times in other episodes, she has seemed more knowing than other people.
Yep.
So what is the deal
What's up with
Agnes?
That? Yeah.
I'm very, this actually made me more confused. I thought, we're in episode 6, I thought things would become more and more clear, but this actually made things less clear for me.
Agreed. It doesn't match with what we thought and what we had been given as clues in the previous episodes.
So I don't know if this is like an origin story for Agnes. Because I was wondering, one of the details that Darcy picked up when she was looking through files was Monica's blood work. And Monica is changing at the cellular level for having now gone into the simulation twice. So we know that Monica, somewhere down the road, gets some superpowers. Is this where she gets them from? Seems possible.
Yeah.
But it did make me wonder... Then what about all the people who have been living in there constantly this whole time?
Yeah, well, it's a good question. Is it the crossing over that gives you powers or makes you mutate? Let's say that.
Okay.
Or is it being inside? Is it the exposure just generally to whatever's in here?
Right. Well, we're going to find out because a lot more people crossed over this episode.
Yeah.
And not willingly.
No.
So... Like we said, Vision is breaching the barrier, and he does, but clearly it costs him a lot to get out.
It's hard.
And as soon as he crosses over, he starts deteriorating.
Yep.
He's literally coming apart. He's dead, and clearly he can't live without the magic.
Yep.
And then because little Billy, I think it is, senses this with his telepathy that his father is in danger and possibly dying, Wanda reacts, and she reacts by, first of all, freezing all of the townspeople, and then expanding the borders of the hex.
By a lot.
Which is incredible. Yeah, not just enough to absorb Vision, which she does, but it also...
because he was only like 10 feet from the thing.
Right.
He didn't get very far.
But she keeps going. And possibly she didn't really know how far she had to go, but possibly this is how she's going to get rid of the sword people, because that's what she expands over the sword base camp. Don't worry, Director Hayward got away, but Darcy, who was handcuffed to a car grill, gets absorbed along with quite a few other people.
Yep.
And they are turned into a circus?
That's right.
Like a circus at the border of town, I guess.
Yep.
But she keeps going. So she has really, really expanded the borders of these things. This has got to be testing her powers.
Absolutely.
And what happens to all of these people? Because we know that already there were people in her simulation that were barely alive. So all of these people, I mean, she can't possibly have enough power to keep this whole thing running.
Doesn't seem that way, no.
So it will be interesting to see whether Darcy is able to move freely or, get around. But is she gonna have superpowers now? Like, this whole thing is a little bit, I mean, we're just asking more questions. We're on episode 6. There shouldn't be more questions.
There shouldn't be. They should have helped us resolve things.
Yes. So Monica, last episode, told us she had this mysterious engineer in mind to help her build a thing to get more safely into the hex. And she and Jimmy did disappear to go meet this
it's on its way.
Unidentified person, but we still don't know who it is, which I thought was terrible.
Yep.
I mean, you have to throw us a bone.
Yep.
There was a lot, there were so many new questions. You got to give us some answers.
It's true.
But no, that is still unknown, but they are not absorbed in the hex. They were safe. It seems that Hayward also got away.
He definitely did.
Whew, okay. So, we know that Vision can't exist outside of this magic.
We do.
Eesh. We don't know what to think about Agnes.
No, we're more confused by her.
We're more confused. Yes. And we're even more suspicious of Sword.
We're suspicious of Sword. We're suspicious of Pietro.
Yes. Well, with Sword, I thought Sword, and Hayward in particular, has really wanted to treat Wanda as the villain.
That's right.
And obviously Monica et al.
They're against that.
They don't, yeah. But I thought it was interesting that they did not treat Vision like a victim when he started coming out. Darcy is the only one who moves to help him, even though he is visibly, coming apart. And they just let him. So it does make me feel like they're not trying to save him. They're just wanting maybe the body back. Yeah. So that's tough. Pietro, I am super suspicious of. Wanda is suspicious of him. And I have to say, was it last week we were talking about Mephisto and how I thought maybe the neighborhood watch lady was
Yep.
But we have not. Okay, we have not seen her in quite some time.
We haven't.
Now I'm wondering if it's Pietro.
It might be.
Because he just appears out of nowhere. He's got powers. He's asking a lot of questions of her. He's very probing. I don't know.
Yep.
And he even said that he is here to stir shit up.
He did.
So...
Yeah. Well, it could be.
What is up with Pietro?
What is up with Pietro?
Or is it Hayward, who is seeming more and more like a big villain the more we get to know him? He's a bully. He's really... He's not a good guy.
He's not a good guy.
He's not a good guy.
He is a villain.
And yet, he and Monica seem to have been friends when we first met them, whatever episode that was, 4, I think. They had seemed like friends prior to the blip.
Yep.
So has he just been drunk with power? Does he just hate superheroes this much? Or is he...
There's something else going on.
Yeah.
Did
what do you think?
someone steal his skin suit?
Ooh, boy.
What do I think of who is Mephisto?
Do not leave your skin suit unattended.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's even assuming there is a Mephisto. Yeah. And obviously that is a theory, not a fact.
I hope there's a Mephisto. Mm-hmm. I think that's
I think this series, is definitely setting something like that up. I think they are setting up a big villain.
Yeah, and I think it would be good to have Mephisto be the villain in the Doctor Strange movie to carry that forward.
Okay.
Introduce him here, and then they have to fight him there. Mm-hmm. I think both of them are bad, Hayward and Pietro. I am confused now of who is the Mephisto, because it could be either of them. Mm-hmm. They're both being really shady.
They are. I mean, Pietro, I don't know what to make of this guy, because he's got memories of the Aaron Taylor Johnson one.
Yeah.
He's got that dude's memories, but he's not acting like him.
No.
I mean, we didn't see that much of Aaron Taylor Johnson, let's be honest. But he seemed he was a grim, serious guy. Yeah. He was very protective of his sister, very loyal to her. That's really what we saw. This guy is like a goofball.
Yep, he is.
He's just here to party and have fun. And so he's not channeling the vibe
at all
of the guy we knew as Wanda's brother. Never mind the fact that he also doesn't look like him.
Never mind the fact that he looks like the other Quicksilver that we knew, who was kind of a rascal.
Mm-hmm. So what the heck?
What the heck?
What the heck? I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't know.
We're clearly not supposed to have any idea, and they're just making us more confused.
Yes. So I'm not sure that I really loved this episode, to be honest.
I agree. I feel like it was a letdown after the previous one.
Yes, I know. They just feels like they're setting us up for these great things. They're building our expectations. But I think on episode 6, we needed a few more answers to keep us going. We needed a few more carrots to chase. Yeah. And I just felt like I can't believe we're still getting new questions this far into it.
Yeah, I know.
Apart from the fact that also I didn't really connect to the Malcolm in the Middle sort of reference, which obviously is not going to be the same for everyone.
Or the comic book costumes.
I
which is
didn't
really
get
like
that,
the main things this had on offer.
Yeah, that's right. But that's fine. Like, I don't mind that I didn't know that. I still think it's cool now that I do. I did really like the theme song. I think that Robert Lopez and Kristen Anderson Lopez are hitting it out of the park week after week, doing such a great job. Even the credits sequence, I mean, they do a nice job. But once it gets rolling, we get right into WandaVision. We kind of forget about trying too hard to be the sitcom, and we get right into all the stuff.
All the madness.
Stuff. Although I did like in the town square, we saw a movie theater in the background that was showing The Incredibles and The Parent Trap. So good shout out to Disney Plus. Both titles now on Disney Plus. I don't know if it suggests them after you finish watching this episode. It did suggest Age of Ultron. They're really like, do you want a refresher? Maybe you could use one.
Yeah. Couldn't hurt.
Probably not at this point. I think we need all the help we can get. So yeah, I felt a little let down by this episode because I'm just so curious. I just want to know. I want to get closer to understanding, not further from understanding. And we only have 3 episodes left to wrap this up.
If they're even gonna wrap it up.
Well, okay.
Stay tuned for season 2.
Well, listen, no season 2 has been confirmed or denied, but these are really big stars to assume that they're gonna come back.
Yeah, and the problem with that is, I mean, the whole thing is a continuing narrative. I feel like it kind of almost is, we should move on to another character that we haven't spent as much time with.
Yes. I mean, I think if there's a season 2, it'll be like in phase 5 and it'll be very different. I think probably we'll be out of the hex by then.
Yes.
I think this kind of has to wrap up because it is referencing directly to the Doctor Strange movie. So it has, I think this scenario, we have to get some closure on.
We do, you're right.
And it's not going to wrap up and be pretty. I know that because it is just leading into more story. But I think it has to give us a direction. It has to probably give us a clear direction.
Well, let's
so we can be excited about the next properties in phase 4 of the MCU.
Like the Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
That's
the trailer is out.
Yes, it is. I saw you checking that out.
Yeah, of course.
Are you excited?
Yeah. I feel like that
is mouth says yes. His tone does not agree.
Well, it feels a lot like just another movie of these 2 odd couples who are left. Their best friend is now 112 years old, so they're left to pick up the pieces.
Yeah, but they're looking sexy doing it.
Okay, well, there you go.
Yeah. Well, I mean, stuff is moving on with or without us. I hope we're on board. I hope we do get some answers. I think we deserve it. We've put in our time.
Yes.
We've put in our thoughts, our research, our
the whole
theories.
9, yeah.
Help us. Help us enjoy this show, please, Marvel. We're doing our best. So who are you liking? I think Elizabeth Olsen continues to blow me away every week.
Yep.
Evan Peters, I thought, did a really good job because he is this goofball, but then he's got these super serious moments. I thought that was really well done. Paul Bettany.
Yeah, Paul Bettany's killing it too. In his own way.
And goes full Vision.
Yep.
You know, we see his goofy comic book attire, but we also saw his old Avengers look.
Yep.
So he does go full synthezoid, as they keep calling him, although I probably will never adopt that word myself. Kathryn Hahn, we finally saw a good bit from her. It's been a while since we really
we
got a
didn't have
meaty
much
chunk
of
from
in the
her.
last few, that's right.
No, and we want to know about this Agnes, Agatha, whatever this lady is.
Yeah, well, she was in the title credits this week.
There you go. She was quite a lot, and her butt.
Yeah,
She really did seem like a part of the family.
she did.
Of course, Teyonah Parris as Monica Rambeau. I mean, she's doing solid work. It is hard to love the outside the Hex stuff as much as the
It's
inside.
not as fun.
It's not as fun. It seems more standard MCU.
Yep.
Randall Park and Kat Dennings, of course, are out there getting her done. Who am I missing?
Not many.
This is,
I
yeah.
mean, most of them.
Yeah. This has been, I mean, we're back and forth, inside, outside, but there's a lot more inside for next week.
There's more inside for next week.
Yeah, like inside the Hex.
Oh, I
is what
see,
I'm saying.
because it expanded.
Yeah.
Yes,
And a lot of the outside people are now inside.
true.
There's a lot less outside people to do their thing.
That's also true. And there's no sword base camp anymore.
That's right.
It's now a clown car.
Whoops. So that shows you what Wanda thinks about them.
Not much.
Not much at all.
We did already know that.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. So what does this mean for next week? I don't have the slightest. I felt like last week we had all these theories, we were excited. This week we're like, what?
Yep.
What now?
Yeah,
Are you changing the rules on us?
seems it.
Come on, Disney Plus, please. We're paying our dues here, literally. Give us something.
There you have it. Give us something. See you next week.
Sounds good to me. All right, same time, same place?
Absolutely.
All right, thanks for watching, everyone. Bye.